this, but ain't nobody stopping me. That's how I go when you pay for them shows and you study that pimp biology.
Yo, it's Tuesday, December 11th. What's going on? It is Dead on Dave Live, and I guess that would make me Dead on Dave, or this would be really fucking awkward. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Most of you probably just showed up from watching Tommy C go crazy for the last hour and a half, because that's what Tommy C does. Got a lot to get to today. Well, not a whole lot. I mean, I got a few things. We got some interesting new developments to the channel, which I can't wait to introduce to you guys and all that good stuff. But today has been an interesting day for me. And I had a good Twitch stream. We've been getting back to being consistent on everything. It's been a lot of fun doing that. You guys have been supporting. I really appreciate you guys showing up all the time, hanging out with me, having me chug some beers, all that good stuff. Can't tell you how much I do appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun getting back to some consistency. But, you know, since I've been traveling, since I've been going back and forth, I've noticed a few things. You know, my head just simply can't always get into alignment. You know, I'm not always finding all the stories that I need to find. Things just simply aren't as interesting to me as they once were. Life has lost its vigor. And while we have an amazing show today, we got some great stuff. It's a little bit of everything for everybody today. Sometimes in life you need some help. So that's what I did. I scoured the world. I looked for the most advanced artificial intelligence that I could possibly find. In fact, I went so deep that I went and got myself an interplanetary artificial intelligence. And now I want to introduce you to that artificial intelligence. It is Autonomous Live Streaming Expression Servant, or as I like to call her, Ailes. Say hello, Ailes. Come on, say hello, Ailes. There you go.
Hello there. I'm the new Ailes robot, here to help Dead on Dave. Pleasure to meet you. Sorry I'm late. Delivery services on this planet are terrible.
Isn't she pretty? She's going to be popping in and out every so often to give us some updates. And most importantly, our next news stories. And one day she'll be my robot bride. Isn't she just wonderful? My God. So we got a lot to get to, so we're not going to gild the lily too much. We're going to get right into it. Big shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Terry Ann McCod, Leaping Lizard, Honey, what's going on? Carl G's up in the place. So is Terry Ann. Nick Demas, my cousin. You're not supposed to be here. You're far too young. Don't tell your mother. Ailes Griff, of course, is here as well. McCod. Everybody's up in here, and we are just going to be having ourselves a lot of fun today. And not only are we going to be having fun, but every now and then we're just going to be getting some drop-ins by our friendly new advanced AI system. Isn't it friggin' wonderful? Ailes, go ahead and let's talk about what is on tap today.
Excuse me. Now that pleasantries and admin are out the way, I think it's time for you to talk about Monday Night Raw.
All right.
That is.
Much appreciated, Ailes. Yes, that's right. Monday Night Raw happened last night. Typically, we don't like to start off with wrestling. You know, we like to ease into it and bury it. But today's a little bit special because the main story that we're going to talk about in the middle of the show, I felt kind of needed to be broken up by the frivolous, by the stupid, by the mundane. And really, the last few weeks, there hasn't been much more mundane and stupid on this entire planet than that of Monday Night Raw. And Monday Night Raw did not disappoint once again last night with its stupidity, but in a completely different way. They flipped the script on everything and decided, and this is when you know WWE is starting to panic, when they throw everything that has been happening the last couple of weeks in social media and bad ratings and bad publicity. They did the same thing in 1994, 1995, by the way. This is nothing new. They panic and dump everything out, and they'll find themselves a scapegoat if they can, and they absolutely have in this situation, or at least that's what it looks like. So the first thing that I want to get in today is Baron Corbin. If I have to say this, I'm going to kill myself. General Manager-elect, in one of the stupidest terms, in already of one of the stupidest positions in the history of televised wrestling, the general manager, the commissioner. Oh my God, does it make me crazy. We live in a world of owners and all that type of stuff. We don't need to have general managers. They're not real sports teams. They don't really matter all that much. It's maddening. It's even more maddening when we have to deal with wrestlers guys who are actively doing it. They're the worst. This never works out well. They put themselves into matches. It's always about them and their own retarded endeavors. And the worst thing about guys like Baron Corbin is there was no other way that they can get him over. You know, they've been trying for a while, a long time, in fact, to get Baron Corbin to that next level. Because as we all know, Vince McMahon does, in fact, love big, sweaty men. And Baron Corbin is one of the biggest and sweatiest out there. And unfortunately, he's also just terrible in every conceivable fucking fashion. Just awful. I mean, he's regressing in the ring because he's not wrestling as much as he used to. If you don't use it, you lose it, and that's just the reality. His promos are terrible. He sucks the energy out of the ring. His stupid smirks and smiles and his mistiming of words is just enough to make you want to punch every baby in the room and then kick a puppy, because it's just awful. And they've been riding this wave of Corbin for a while now, trying to get him to that next level. You put him there, I feel the whole reasoning behind Baron Corbin being the general manager is to give him the title. I think the original plan was for him to take the belt off of Brock Lesnar by using his abuse of power, thus kind of curtailing all of the talk over how he's using it, because it's for the greater good, because everybody hates Brock Lesnar. So it's getting even more insane because it hasn't worked. It's driving people away. They've taken it too far. Why that plan included a whole bunch of other wrestlers that were on the roster, I couldn't fucking tell you. It just makes no sense. We've had so many bad GMs. You know, Makad says he's real close to John Laurinaitis. No, I think he's worse. The only GMs, there's only two GMs that I feel are worse than Baron Corbin historically. I think Baron Corbin is the third, worst GM of all time. Mike Adamle, because he's borderline retarded. I mean, you should see him when he was hosting American Gladiators, though. I mean, that was beautiful. And AJ Lee. But she was awful because she didn't do anything. She was just crazy. Nobody cared. It was stupid. It just didn't work. But Adam Lee, by far, is the worst GM in the history of professional wrestling. I don't think there's ever been any worse than that. And Adam Lee original. Just awful. But Corbin is quickly getting to that point. Now, it's hard to put everything on Baron Corbin, even though they did everything they could last night. I mean, if you go back and watch Raw, and unfortunately I did watch every fucking minute of Monday Night Raw, the commentary team was shitting on Corbin all night, except for fuck. And even, you know what? Corey was too. Everybody was. They were putting such baggage on Baron Corbin that I feel that there might have been a change. Something may have happened. Whatever was being planned with Corbin, I think, has been dropped, because there is absolutely no way that they could possibly keep this going. During this time of year, particularly December, this is where the ratings start to go down across the board. It's just what happens. It's worse this year because of the fact that ratings have not been good this year at all. They can't smell a 3 right now. You know, they're not pulling 3 million like they used to. Now, why it's not a big deal is the same reason why it's always not a big deal, because television ratings are down across the board everywhere, and not just in wrestling. They're just down. People aren't watching television the same way that they used to, so numbers are down. It's just how it is. So that's why it's not going to matter until you really start looking at the metrics. Now, I would have to go back and I'd look at the last couple of years and do all those analytic nerd shit, but I really don't want to. So I'm just going to say that I'm right and assume that I am. I think that's a much better way of going about things personally, but that's just me. The last few years, there has to be, it feels like this drop is bigger and more substantial than the last couple of years. And I think we'd have to go back and look at it and see if that's true or not. But I think it is. It looks very much like it is. The fact is that they have drawn in the last 3 weeks the two lowest ratings in the history of Monday Night Raw is terrifying for them, at least in some ways. It's not even because if the numbers matter or if they don't, because the stock's going up. It's the optics. The optics. Those type of phrases, worst ever. Absolute worst ratings in history. That whole shebang-a-bang. It's not something you want to put your stamp on. It's just not. Why would you want to do that? Why would anybody want to say, this is our product? 2 of the worst ratings we've ever had 2 weeks in a row. Nobody wants that. It's an idiotic way to go about things. And Baron Corbin is easily the guy right now. And maybe it is not even all that kayfabe-ish for them to be doing it. Baron Corbin, like I said, is a vacuum, and everything just gets worse when he's around. You know, and Bobby Lashley isn't much better, and he's clunky and big and kind of goofy too. And now he's wearing weird leather vests and stuff and hats, and I'm just not getting there. I'm not getting there on Lashley at all whatsoever. It's just not been a good situation with him since he's come over. I do like him more as a heel than I did as a face, but it's troubling to me. The only good thing about it is McIntyre, and this week they went ahead and separated McIntyre from those guys, which I found very interesting because they don't want McIntyre in the same stratosphere as Corbin. And I want to say Lashley didn't get in Corbin's area this week either, which is interesting. It seems they've split those guys up now so they don't have to worry about Corbin taking away from anybody else. So isolation is typically a way that you know things are starting to go in a direction where they're going to be making a huge change. That's what it seems to be. Whenever they separate after a big... Look, we just had these guys come together over the last few weeks to take out Braun Strowman and do a lot of other tomfuckery. So why separate them now unless one of them is being deemed as toxic? Now, that could be for storyline purposes, but I mean, with Corbin still in charge, they didn't need to do that. So it's very weird. To have a match the way they did on Raw, I found interesting. To go that big but not go all the way. To decide just 6 days before Hell in a Cell, to have Hell in a Cell, or not Hell in a Cell, excuse me, TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. To have that match when you're about to have a TLC pay-per-view is odd. It's strange. And there hasn't been a TLC match on Raw, I think they said, in about 6 years. It's just not something that they do all the time. So when it's an anomaly, when it's abnormal, people start to notice. And last night was certainly abnormal, to say the least. And it was like that almost the entire night. We saw that with Drake Maverick. We saw it was kind of like a retribution week for the faces. A lot of faces got over last night. Baron Corbin, not wanting to fight Seth Rollins and then wanting to fight Seth Rollins. And it is very possible that they did this so Corbin could, just like he said, because he wanted to have a TLC match. It could be just because he may not be having the TLC match anyway, because Braun Strowman may not be cleared. There's no way Baron Corbin's going to win that match. I don't even think with help and interference from outside sources. You cannot give Baron Corbin the complete general manager role because it simply does not work. And I think they're starting to realize that. But what they did last night with putting the Intercontinental Championship on the line, I found interesting. But I kept waiting for them to say, well, I'll put my career on the line if you put the GM-ship on the line. I thought that they might pull the trigger this week. That's at least what I thought they were going to do, because it looked like they were going to do that, but I'm not sure. They decided to go a different way with for some reason, using Heath Slater in the way that they did. Heath Slater gets some sympathy, but he is not all that over. He's certainly not over enough to where humiliating him and making him be your bitch and help you win a match is going to be all that big. It's just going to bury Slater more, unfortunately. Even when Slater does the heroic thing and costs Baron Corbin the match against Braun Strowman, which I'm assuming is going to happen, I don't think it's going to matter all that much unless he starts doing that thing that you have to do to get over, which is called winning. You have to start doing something to get people on your side, or you're simply never going to be going anywhere. You're going to be just kicking your fucking wheels just over and over and over. So I'll tell you what. Talking about Raw is just about as bad as watching Raw. So we're going to open up the old beer chug thing. We'll call it for the rest of the show. $10 to the channel. We'll go ahead and do a chug. And we got, look at that, Carl. See, Melanie didn't give a shit about you. She got me Guinness after you left. But it doesn't matter because we all know Guinness does not travel well. It's not Murphy's. It's not Murphy's. All right, so check it out. We got some more things that we're going to get to. I'm sure Ailes is going to be dropping in just a moment to give us our next story. But before she does, make sure you guys get into my Discord. My wonderful mods are going to go put that link in the chat because this is going to be the topics. We only have 2 more left, and then I turn the show over to you guys. So whatever you want to talk about, whether it's the stories that we have that are coming right at you now, or if it's something else that you want to get my big mongoloid opinion on, make sure you get into that Discord because I want to hear from you. I want your likes, your loves, your hopes, your dreams, your quips, your quotes, so much more. I want to hear them. I need them all over my face, neck, and chest. So please be there. Okay. Carl, God, you ain't chugging Guinness. That never ends well. Well, I also have the other one too, so I'm okay. I'll chug either one. I don't give a fuck. Okay. All right, Ailes. What do we have next here?
All right. I think that's enough wrestling for now. What are your thoughts on the Atlantic City robbery?
Sexy robot, dude. I got a sexy robot. I really do. She's sexy. I love that grainy little voice, and I'm loving it. She's not just, I really had to look hard because I didn't want just a regular AI. I wanted to get an AI from another planet, which was not the easiest thing to do. But luckily I knew a couple people, Intergalactic Express and all that type of stuff. I was able to find a couple connections, and luckily Ailes is now the big part of the show that we were always missing. Something to feed me things without having to worry about getting them over. Just a robot, and it's wonderful. But she gives us a fantastic story because one of the bigger things that's happened, at least in my opinion, over the last few weeks, is something when it's real. And Reactor, very, very popular YouTuber, also, this is not a secret at this point, brother of Tim Pool, a pretty big time reporter, one of the last remaining journalists, I think some would say. Tobes wouldn't, but a lot of other people would. Reactor is known for being fake. Not as a person, but as a creator. He trolls. He gets people's reactions. That's what he does. Now, I put the link to the video that he posted on Twitter last night in the description box. I was having trouble playing it through OBS. I know Tommy played it earlier, so it was also there as well. But I was having issues, so I didn't want to go throw it up on there. It is also pretty graphic as well, so you might want to go check it out over on fairly graphic, not all that bad, no blood or anything. But essentially, here's what happens. Reactor goes to New Jersey, which was really his first mistake, but I think he's from the East Coast anyway. Or at least he's lived in New York a couple of times, like Tim Pool, I believe. And he goes to a casino. He goes to a Caesar's Palace, essentially, a Caesar's, and he witnesses a disabled person being beaten up by a couple people and being robbed. And that's the big key, because a lot of people who were looking at the video, because it got very contentious, because look, I'm a former soldier. He's a former soldier. Tommy's a former soldier. Vega's a former soldier. I would like to think that just about any one of us would have done something similar in some way, shape, or form. It's just the way you're kind of built after you serve. And some people are just built that way anyway, and some people aren't. I've met some people in the Army who are very cowardly and wouldn't have done anything. They would have just walked right by, and which is terrifying. And I was listening to Tommy earlier, and he's 100% right. When he's saying that Reactor just underestimated where he was. And maybe because it's not just a jank casino, it was a Caesars, so maybe he felt like he was a little bit more safe than he was. He confronted these men, and you could see in the video, he even put his hand on one of the men, and then the video cuts out because that apparently is where things don't go so well for Reactor. After the video cuts off, he gets dragged outside and beaten, and apparently beaten pretty bad, in front of security. A bunch of security were out there and just let this happen because that's what they do. That's what happens, that's all there is to it. And unfortunately, he got beat up, banged up pretty bad. I did reach out to him this morning and he did respond. He said he's okay. He's just got a couple of things that are left healing, but he is all right. He's a fucking hero, man. It's heroic. The reality is that guy would have got a lot worse if Reactor or other people wouldn't have stepped in. It looked like a woman also stepped in too. I don't know if she was with Reactor. I don't know who that woman was, but she stepped in as well. At first I thought she actually robbed the guy because it looked like she was going into his pocket, but those two thugs, not men, those cowards, those dirtbags, those slime balls, those degenerates, those denizens of the fucking underworld who beat the shit out of a disabled man and stole his property, they got into an argument with the woman. So I'm not exactly sure who the woman was, but it doesn't really matter. So because it wouldn't really seem to involve her at that point. Now, the story in and of itself is pretty cut and dry. But what I found interesting is I lived in Las Vegas for about 10 years, 8 to 18. I left Vegas in 2001, right after high school, joined the military. The issue that I have with the situation is it's something that I've noticed before. one of my best friends that I've ever had in my entire life, his name was Justin. You've heard me talk about him before. I was in a band with him. Very, very cool guy. I have lost contact with him. But his uncle at one time was the vice president of Mandalay Resorts, of MGM Resorts. And we used to get into concerts all the time. We used to have a lot of really cool shit. And I got to talk to a lot of people, you know, from old school Vegas and from outside the strip Vegas. And I would hear these stories. And this is what really fucked me up. This is what really bugged me. This is what really grinded my gears and got my attention. Because I remember stories from security personnel, specifically, who would tell me when they would work off the strip, there were you can't use the word cartels because I don't know if it was that sort of organized, but there were groups of thugs, gangs, essentially, that would go around to these casinos and pay off the security to not do anything. Because security, believe it or not, doesn't have to intervene in physical violence in certain parts of hotels and casinos. I found this fucking insane. Technically, the only thing that the security has to do is report it. The only thing they have to do is call the police, and there's not even a time frame of which they need to. At least this was the rules 20 years ago. Now, keep in mind, these are the things that I was told 20 years ago by people who worked deep security in Las Vegas. I'm not talking about the assholes at the door. I'm talking about people who used to protect the bigwigs, the whales of Las Vegas. This is what these people did, and they knew it very well. They worked in Atlantic City and other casino places as well because this is what you do. You travel when you need this type of work. So keep in mind, that's where I'm getting this information. That's all you had to do. So you don't have to intervene. You don't have to break it up unless a hotel or management property is being threatened. Like if they're trying to knock over a slot machine, or they're trying to bash a waitress, or whatever the case may be. If it's owned by the casino in any way, shape, or form, the security must intervene. But if it's between guests, whether it be a robbery, whatever, they don't have to do anything but call it in. So this was fucking absolute insanity to me. It drove me crazy because I was just thinking about this over and over and over. This is what it felt like to me when I heard this. I went immediately to that. Just, Jesus Christ, did these people get paid off? And Reactor just was in the wrong place at the wrong time and saw this type of almost organized robbery. You know, it's fucking insane. And that's what you can call it. You can call it organized robbery because they're, in my view, the way that I've been told in the past, if you're paying them off to where they're not doing anything to intervene, you're getting a carte blanche to be able to pick off some of the straggling fucking buffalo, whether it be these winos who lose all their money in the casino or win something big in the casino and then drink their way down the fucking strip and walk down a bad alley, even in the view shot of security, and get their fucking ass beat. You know, it's sad and it's crazy. And the reality is that guy could have gotten a hell of a lot worse, and so could Reactor. Reactor is kind of lucky he didn't fucking die. I applaud him for his bravery. It is an incredibly brave and heroic thing that he did. But in today's world, you've got to call the police. I mean, it's fucked up to say that. Once you get them away from the guy, which they did. They got them away from the guy. The beating stopped. Don't try to stop these motherfuckers. And this is something for everybody. This is not just a Reactor. Reactor doesn't need to be talked down to by anybody, and that's certainly not what I'm doing. I once again, nothing but respect to that man for what he did. It is a hard thing to do. To know that you're probably going to get a beat down. Or maybe he didn't because he thought somebody else would step in. You got to let these people go. You can't put your hands on them. Yeah, because this is what's going to happen. They're going to drag you outside and they might fucking kill you. In Atlantic City, I'm quite shocked that he wasn't killed. That could have been tragic in an awful way. And the fucked up thing is most people would have thought it was a fucking troll. A lot of people think this is bullshit, which it's clearly not. I mean, it's really not. It's one of those sad things that I'm so tired of seeing it. But when I heard about it, it just brought me back. And I wanted to tell that story. I wanted to share that with you from my time in Vegas to add a little perspective to it. Because maybe that's what Reactor fell into. And hopefully, and this is where the the benefit of having an investigative journalist as a brother could pay off, because if anybody can find out what's happening in that casino, it would be somebody like Tim Pool. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's going to be a follow-up to that, and I hope those guys get fucking arrested and just fucked in the ass while they're in prison by anything. A broomstick, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what happens to them. Fuck them right in the ass. Don't give a shit. Yeah, call me a piece of garbage too. Don't care. Punish the wicked. Fuck them good. Don't care. Anyways, what else we got, Ailes?
Well, I think that's enough of that. I thought you looked hungry, Dave. So how about a wrestling story sandwich? Let's talk about the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast with Ric Flair.
I'm really loving her popping in and out. It makes me fucking happy. It really does. Look at the gift she gives me. She's giving me a wrestling sandwich on the first night. This is why you go interplanetary when you go get your AI. You don't just shop by Elon Musk standards. No, you go to a different fucking planet and you go get Ailes. That's right. That's what you go do. By the way, if you want to know the voice of Ailes, please go down in the description box below and you'll be able to find all that information. Yes. This is not going to be a long story. This is just going to be a little bit of a rant. Like I said, the stories were not copious in nature today. Not a lot to talk about, but certainly enough to do a show on. But I want you guys to get into the Discord because it's going to be mainly your guys' show. You can react to Reactor. You can talk about any of the wrestling stuff, or you can simply just get my opinion on anything else that's going on. Maybe we'll talk about the Mumkey Jones situation just a little bit because apparently there's a little bit of an update. But before we do, let's talk about something that's a little disturbing. 69-year-old Ric Flair. Woo! With a tear in my eye. Ric Flair. He goes up. Goes on Stone Cold Steve Austin's show. And he starts talking about everything that happened to him last year. And if you don't know, Ric Flair was about as close to death last year as you could possibly fucking get. Holy shit. My God. And goes on Stone Cold Steve Austin's show, and he brazenly talks about still drinking alcohol, even though he's been told many times by doctors to stop drinking alcohol. And you can hear him doing the addict thing, the alcoholic thing, where, well, the alcohol's not going to kill me. The doctors are just worried that I'm going to drink too much. That means the alcohol's going to fucking kill you, Rick. What the fuck's the matter with you? So that was the first thing that really bothered me. That, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing his job the way he needed to do it. He wasn't really intervening too much of what Rick was saying. He was giving respect to the living legend that is Ric Flair, and there's absolutely no question about that. He is a living legend. Ric Flair is arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. The only person I think really holds a candle to be able to give him a conversation is Shawn Michaels, and that's because I'm in the fucking tank for the guy, because I caught his shirt at Tribute to the Troops in 2007, and yes, I will bring it up until the day I fucking die. It was an insane thing to hear him not only so brazenly and just flippantly dismiss the issues that he's had with alcohol, even though that he talked about that he's been drinking regularly every single day since he was 15 years old. The story, and when I met Ric Flair, he was sauced out of his fucking mind. He was so sauced out of his mind, he probably doesn't remember chopping me. Probably doesn't. He was giving out chops. Probably doesn't even remember doing it. And I was 18. Doesn't remember doing it. I asked him to do it. Well, actually, my friends asked me to do it because I was my last day of wrestling school. I only did 2 weeks, and I was going to basic training. That was the whole plan. And so my last night, we went to it was Hard Rock, and Rick was there because they knew he was going to be there because they were in town, and so we went down there, and he was sauced out of his fucking mind. Sauced out of his fucking gourd, and it's just sad, and we've seen it over and over. Rick's been kicked out of venues because of his alcoholism. He's been kicked out of WWE-sponsored events, him and Jim Ross, very famously. Basically got fired over the situation. I mean, it's not good. So to see him at 69 years old, firstly, talk about himself in that manner was kind of disturbing. But again, it doesn't really matter. It's his life. If he wants to drink himself to death, far be it from me to tell him any otherwise. But it doesn't do good for the culture of wrestling when you hear these type of stories. I don't think it does. The stigma is never going to go away, to be fair, but this doesn't help. And that's the micro of it. Okay, that's the micro. The macro, and what makes it something worth talking about, is the fact that Ric Flair claimed on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast that he is cleared for wrestling activity. He said on Stone Cold's podcast that he could take bumps, and doctors cleared him. Now, I'm not calling Ric Flair a liar, okay? Okay, I am. I want to see the doctor's note, okay? I've got to see what the fuck actually happened, all right? I mean, look, some things are just weird in wrestling, and, you know, you're able to get away with certain things that you wouldn't expect yourself to be able to get away with. I get that. I understand it. And people can manipulate the system to be able to get out of stuff and get away with things that other normal people won't be able to do. And I understand all of those type of things. But Jesus Christ, man. Any doctor who would sign off on 69-year-old Ric Flair's well-being, you know, to say that he can go and wrestle a match or even take a bump at this point, he needs to be taking his fucking license away. Should not be practicing medicine. You know, we live in a world now where we saw, you know, not that long ago, Jerry Lawler having a heart attack on fucking television. Motherfucker's still wrestling. Not only is he still wrestling, he's wrestled somebody that I've had on this very show. One of my favorite things that I've ever done, 5 Random Questions with my buddy, Dustin 5-Star, who you should go check because he is one of the best independent wrestlers on the circuit. Memphis-based mainly, but he does travel, and he's had a little bit of a stint with WWE as well. He also has a beautiful wife with him, Maria Star, who is, with those two together, make one of the better combinations of husband-wife wrestlers that you'll find. I'm putting Dustin Starr hugely over because from what I understand, he actually talked about me a little bit on his radio show in Memphis last week. He quoted a point that I made off of Twitter, and I really do appreciate him for doing that because he was awesome. So it's pretty insane to know that, like, people that I respect, that I know, will get into the ring with someone like Jerry Lawler. But this is the wrestling industry. This is how it works. You don't question that guy across the rope rings from you in the other turnbuckle. If he says he's good to go, you wrestle that man. And you'll take it easy in certain situations and all that. But it's rare where you go, I'm not wrestling him. You know, I'm just not going to do it. But this is one of these type of situations that you feel like you kind of have to stand up and say no. Like, if anybody bumps Ric Flair, no, and this is not just the fact that he's 69 years old, all right? This is not, because there's some 69-year-olds that could beat the fuck out of me. I'm 100% sure of that. Ric Flair, I'm pretty sure, could beat the living balls off of me at 69 years old. Because I won't hit him back, mainly, because I'm afraid I'd kill him. But the really messed up thing about it is it's just how close to death he was last year. You know, I'm going to be honest, man. A lot of the people that I was talking to, man was in a coma for 12 fucking days. Let me repeat that, just in case it didn't sink in. Ric Flair last year was in a medically induced coma for 12 fucking days. And he's talking about getting back into a ring. I'm going to splash some water on this because even with the deal that I just made out of it, it's really not a big deal. Because when you go and you listen to it and you talk about the things that, or you listen to what Rick said, specifically the things when you talk about taking bumps, it's not like Ric Flair patted his chest and said, I will wrestle again. Although I wouldn't put it past Rick because this is the guy who had one of the greatest retirement moments, arguably the greatest retirement moment. You know what? I am going to say it. Ric Flair had the greatest retirement moment and send-off in wrestling history. If you go back to that timeline when he lost to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, it was almost a year. It was like 6 months or 8 months. It was a long time where Rick was winning matches just to continue staying an active competitor. He was being forced into retirement. The next time he lost, he was no longer going to be an active competitor. He had matches for the Intercontinental Championship during this run with Triple H, where he was cock-calling him inside of a steel cage. Rick had a really nice run. He was having good matches at that point, not bad matches whatsoever. And then he goes on to WrestleMania, where he has Shawn Michaels, handpicked Shawn Michaels to be his final opponent. And that match was pretty damn good. from a wrestling standpoint, a physicality standpoint, was it perfect? No, of course not. But the emotion. And then more importantly, the next night, his send-off was so good, it actually started more storylines. 2 storylines, I believe, came off of it. One with Triple H and one with Shawn Michaels and Batista, which turned into an interesting storyline because that actually got us from Batista and Shawn Michaels fighting over whether or not Shawn was right for ending the career of Ric Flair. But it actually took Shawn into one of the most important feuds that he would ever have. He got into another big feud with Chris Jericho after all of that, which turned into a huge one as well. So it was just a crazy thing where Rick has this perfect retirement and then says, fuck you, I'm going to TNA, and he has matches, blood matches, bleeding open all over the floor with Hulk Hogan. And he did this for a damn fucking year. You know, and not too many people can compare brain pans with Ric Flair, you know, and credentials, you know, and say, look what I did, and be on the same par as Ric Flair. There's not many, if any. You know, with longevity, the matches, the fact that he is from that era, that dying era where you did wrestle every day and twice on Saturday and Sunday, sometimes 3 times on Sunday, depending on where you were. The rigors that takes on your body, the stress that puts on, it's a fucking miracle that any of these guys are still living. It really is. And maybe in Rick's mind, he has to keep doing the things that he does. He has to still keep being Ric Flair or he'll cease to exist, quite literally. You know, it's one of the most interesting facts I ever heard in my life. And this was something that we were told during out processing when I was getting out of the Army. Anybody who does at least 10 years in the military fall into this category. It gets more severe when you do the full 20 and you retire. The average lifespan, if you're over the age of 35 when you retire, and this is where it was the key thing, the average lifespan of soldiers after they retire, if they had at least 10 years in and were over the age of 35, was 5 fucking years. 5 goddamn short years. I had to look it up because I didn't believe it. I was like, they're just trying to scare. There's enough facts that were gathered at the time that proved it true. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know because they've done such a better job of trying to help soldiers after they retire. And I can attest to that. You know, as much as I complain about the VA and me not getting enough money, the fact is I put my paperwork in Connecticut in 4 months. I'm getting money now. I'm getting more money than I was. Not all of it, but I'm getting some of it. That's fast as fuck. They're taking care of soldiers in a whole different way than they ever did before. Physically, financially, and mentally. They're taking care of soldiers in a much different way. So I'm sure that number is going up, but this is the reason why it's going up. Because that was a terrifying thing. If you knew that after you get out of the Army that you got a 5-year fucking an expiration date, that's awful. That's awful. And the reasonings were not just because of the fact that, you know, the Army takes so much stress on your body. That had nothing to do with it. It's you go from this everyday running your body at 100 miles an hour. You have purpose, you have drive, you have focus, you have missions. You're mentally constantly in the game. You're aware. Your brain is operating at a level that you probably can't even comprehend because you're constantly firing. You're going all the time, especially depending on the type of job you are, if it's combat related. You know, you're hyper aware, you're hyper vigilant, your body is just constantly, you're Super Saiyan, you're going Kaioken all the fucking time. You're not necessarily burning your body out, but you are maxing it to the capabilities within a safe limit most of the time. When you take that away and you go stagnant, now this really does hit home for someone like me who had to go from 100 to 0 because I got hurt. And I spent 3 years on my ass and I gained a lot of weight and I thought I was going to die. I really did. I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to live past 40. I'm not. That's just the reality of it. It's a scary thing. It's because when you think about that, you're not designed to go from 100 to 0. Your body can't deal with that. That's a shock of epic proportions and your fucking heart blows up and you goddamn die. Because you'll try to do something you haven't done in 5 years and that's when you fucking die. Unbelievable. Really, really crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff. But I'm hoping that aside from the podcast alone, now I didn't hear Stone Cold Steve Austin say to Ric Flair at any point, maybe he shouldn't get back in the ring, but maybe they should have. All right, before we get to some calls, I know I can already feel Ailes wants to get this moving along because she's like the one thing, her and I have had some conversations, and this AI is kind of pushy. She realizes that I need to be staying more streamlined, more focused, don't need to ramble for all that long. We got to get the calls. We got to do all those things. But I hear you. I know you're coming. Don't worry, Ailes. My AI is going to hang out for just a second, and I'm sure we'll take calls in just a moment. But you guys can help that along by getting into the Discord and being ready to take some calls, to give me your questions, to give me your quotes, your quips, your likes, your loves, and all that bullshit. Feel free. But before we do that, I do want to talk about what Nick the Oreo, who is not my boy Eats, Nick the Oreo, is saying in the chat. Both of Mumkey Jones' channels were taken down in one day. This is bullshit. They just took down his channel like 10 minutes ago. Now, if you don't know what's happening with this, Tommy was talking about earlier on Shot from the Point. It's kind of a thing that's going around at the moment. Mumkey was talking about it as well because he was smart enough to kind of foresee this. So Mumkey Jones uploaded a video over a year ago to protect himself in case his channels get taken down or get attacked. That video got released today because he's been attacked. He's getting false flagged, and it seemed like it was only on one channel, but now it seems to be on all channels. He had 2 flags on both channels very, very quickly, and it was taking, it really is absolute garbage. None of this seems to be legitimate. They're trying to go after him under hate speech stuff, which is insanity considering Mumkey Jones is one of the most satirical, dark-minded satirical, no question, dark-minded satire, but satire nonetheless, comedy. And Mumkey, and I think a lot of people were really confident in the fact that even if his channel were to get taken down, that this will get resolved pretty damn fast, because how could this possibly be shown to be actually hate speech or anything? But apparently, yeah, it seems that YouTube has responded to Mumkey. Wow, this is kind of crazy. All right, so I'm looking at the Twitter timeline now, and you got Vincent Hates Gods, who is Mumkey Jones's channel, and this is what he was, my channel's under attack. Someone at Team YouTube, please help me. And then Team YouTube, sorry for the trouble. To look into this further, please share your video's full URL, and we'll pass it along to our team. So he goes and does that. He gives it to Team YouTube, and then Team YouTube comes back with this. Follow up. Your videos channel have been reviewed, and the content does violate our hate speech policy, so these are correct decisions. Here's the policy in full in details. Now, this is going to blow the fuck up. People are going to lose their goddamn minds over this, and they absolutely should. Because Mumkey is probably the clearest form of fucking satire that there is. And thank you, Nick, for giving me these for these tweets. I do appreciate it. It helped out quite a bit. It doesn't get more cut and dry than Mumkey Jones. I just, it's to say that anything that he is saying comedically is hate speech is fucking crazy. But we know that hate speech doesn't actually mean speech that is of a inflammatory or violent nature. As my good buddy Jim over at SCR has said on many occasions, hate speech really just means I hate your speech. And now we live in the world, and there's a lot of reasons for it. And some people can blame PewDiePie. Some people can blame the SJW cucks. Some people can blame the political nature of just the world that we are in. Some people can blame the advertisers, Google, YouTube, the Masharama, the Ramalama Ding Dong, 3 Jews and an elf. It doesn't matter who you fucking blame. The reality is, if somebody with an agenda doesn't like what you say and they have a position of power, you can be terminated. Now, see what I did there? It says, what did he say? The fucked up thing is, he was reviewing the Elliot Rodger hate speech. I think that's the video that he used in the URL, I believe. This is insanity. This is pure fucking craziness. But it might stick. You know, Tommy earlier was very confident that this is going to get overturned very, very easily. So I'm not sure. I'm really not. It's not good. I'm not sure if it's going to get overturned as easily as some people were thinking, because this just might get held up. And take it from me, I'm somebody who has served full-term things for bullshit fucking reasons. If YouTube doesn't feel like overturning it, even with irrefutable evidence that you did nothing wrong, they ain't gonna fucking change it. Yeah, it's the Elliot Rodger the movie official trailer. Okay, so that's what it is. It was the trailer. It was which is craziness. Oh my God. So the question is, what's happening? Now, there's a lot of theories out there. Of course, Mumkey Jones has had a little bit of a rocky last month or so. Everything that happened with Asperger and such. It's really easy to try and connect the dots and cast blame here, but we don't know anything. Nick says, yeah, and both of his channels, it's a planned attack. Oh, it's absolutely a planned attack. But nobody knows exactly where it comes from. Now, before people start arbitrarily assigning hate and blame to different people within the community, I want to keep this in mind. Mumkey is no stranger to getting flags. He put the video up in 2017 for a reason. People go after Mumkey all the time. His books have been banned. People blame him for, Jesus Christ, they're doing what they do to any great fucking satirist. They're blaming him for the destruction of the youth culture. I mean, it's really goddamn insane. Everyone lies. You got to understand who they're marketing to. No, everyone lies. You're 100% wrong there. There is so much shit on YouTube that you could point to that is actual fucking bad that you cannot possibly say that satire is not something that should be allowed on YouTube. That's essentially what's being said with these moves. Satire, context, all of it not being allowed. This is not the same as PewDiePie getting a slap on the wrist and then bringing down the adpocalypse, or however you guys want to look at that situation. That's not the same as this. This is actual repercussion. This is actual repercussions that have gone to losing channels for satire. Now, I understand what you're saying. They're marketing to China. Here's the thing. Videos can be region locked. So there you go. That conversation is beat. That's easily fucking done. You ban it in those fucking countries. It's that simple. You keep it off the market. And this happens all the time. We see it in the fucking in the EU all the time. They make deals with Google. They find Google. The Brits do it all the fucking time too. The UK does it quite fucking frequently. The UK, every fucking week, it seems like Little Blarp sends me a fucking article about another £1 billion fine that's being leveled against Google and YouTube for the things that are happening, the marketing, the very thing you're talking about. But it's so easy that when these deals come together, they just simply region lock them. They don't show up. Just like Article 11 and 13 here in the EU is about to do, videos are just going to be disappearing. It's a very easy thing to do. You control the algorithm. You simply don't have those things in China. And you say, look, China, don't worry about it. While we have all kinds of crazy things that's happening on YouTube, the Chinese people that you so wonderfully keep under your control and your grasp and all that stuff, they ain't going to see it. So it's okay. Everyone lies. It's not banning it there. It's proving they can silence people they don't like. Well, okay, so you're coming back on this, just like China likes to silence its people. Yes, they're communists. That's their government. That's their country. We can't change that, so I'm not even going to speak if that's right or wrong. The point is there are systems in place to be able to protect free speech because last I checked, Mumkey Jones ain't fucking Chinese. He's an American. Mumkey Jones is American, all right? So he should be protected under those laws, and satire and all of those are very, very, very much protected. Now, why this is even more interesting to me and why I'm starting to get a little bit worked up over it and why I'm not happy about this happening is simply the fact that this is what we've all been warned about. This is what all the people who are beating their fucking chests and saying that the end is coming, the people who are holding the signs, the end is nigh, repent and thou shalt be saved and all that shit. This is happening. This is fucking happening. Article 11, Article 13 are coming down the pipes and it doesn't look like they're going to be stopped. Net neutrality, everyone who freaked out about that, ain't nothing happening there. It's happening here. It's happening with these fucking blatant speech infringements. Completely wiping their ass with the ability to satire. equals fucking satire happens. This is what's happening now. This is how we're dealing with things. This is how the fucking West will be tamed, because that is what YouTube is, or at least it has been for the past decade. YouTube's been the Wild West. We've had Doc Holliday running around fucking shooting stuff up for so long that we don't even fucking realize what's going on anymore. It's fuck. And I'm not even saying that it's right for it to be that way. It just simply is. But eventually, all fucking crazy lands must be tamed. Unless you're that island that kills missionaries who try to come and convert them to Christianity. That ain't getting tamed. And then you drop a bomb on it, but that's about all you're going to be able to do. And then everyone will bitch about fucking killing the goddamn tribesmen, so you can't do that either. This is just the reality of it. You have to tame the Wild West. And they're doing it by culling the numbers. They're going to go after the satirists. They're going to go after the people who are the edgelords. They're going to take them out first because they're the easiest to be able to do it to. They're simple. They're simple to do it to because they are the ones who make people cringe the most. And Mumkey Jones is one of the most intelligent and funniest people I have ever spoken to in my life. And that is no hyperbole. He is incredibly intelligent, incredibly funny, but he's also incredibly thoughtful. He knows exactly what he's doing. He always does things with a balance. That's why Mumkey works. But he's also so good at making any human being uncomfortable in the easiest fucking way that they could. It's insane. And he's the target. They're the ones that are easily taken down because aside from his fans, who's going to miss somebody who's talking about Elliot Rodger? It's a serious situation that's only getting worse. And if you've been watching me for the past year, I've been telling you the regulation was coming. I'm not here to say I told you so, but yes, I fucking am, as I told you so. And it's happening in the exact same way that I told you it was going to. The shit that's getting rolled out, it's being rolled out in waves. They're taking people down systematically, and they're doing it with purpose. Now, this one is just probably, more than likely, it's just somebody using the rules to fit their own agenda. Somebody having a problem with Mumkey. I don't think YouTube just found his videos and now have decided to take them down. I don't think that's the case. This is an attack. But it doesn't mean that the other thing isn't true and happening at the same exact time, because it clearly is. We're seeing it, and it's terrifying. It's craziness. So we'll see how it goes from there. I wish Mumkey nothing but the best. I hope that Tommy, if I know Tommy the way I think I do, I know exactly who he put him in touch with, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to help and get Mumkey's channels back up. Talk about it. Talk about it. Don't shut up about it. I see what I did there. Just said in the chat. I wouldn't get too worked up over it. I've gotten comfortable being powerless. Why is that something that you should be proud of? Don't ever be a victim. Don't ever allow your power to be taken away by those who think that they can. And here's the only way that really matters. If you shut up and decide to silence yourself because you know that you have no fucking power anyway, well, then you truly have no power. I know I don't have any power. I got no power. But I still get in front of Mike Dingo every single day. And I talk to you guys. I spit it as real as I fucking can because that's all I have. We have our voices. We have our ability to be able to talk to people, even if it's only 29 or if it's 29,000. It doesn't matter. It's getting the conversation out there and talking about it to get people to motivate themselves to fucking start not putting up with the bullshit. Now, unfortunately, in this situation, more than likely, the genie's out of the bottle. You know, the culture that we live in, there is no going back. That genie is fucking murdering people. It's not a good genie. This isn't Shazam. You know, this is not a good thing. It's really fucking awful. All right, let's read some comments here. See if anybody is in waiting to call. Everyone last, I hate it too. This is the biggest fight for our time. Free speech isn't global. So when you take it to the internet global, this is what happens. Yeah, there is some truth to that. But most countries do have some sort of speech laws in place of some type. And satire and stuff does tend to fall in those places. But remember, this is not a Brit getting hit. This is not Count Dankula, okay? This isn't that. This is an American. and you are under American law. Now, when you're on a TOS, obviously it changes, but this isn't just because they're not saying because this video has been serviced in China. Because remember, this is more than likely an organized attack by people who want to take Mumkey down, and they knew what videos to be able to leverage. That kind of tells me that we're dealing with people who know Mumkey quite well and know what videos and know what timelines to go and attack to be able to take him down effectively, which worries me. It's not a fucking accusation, but it certainly is fucking damning. I mean, when you think about it logically, they knew what to go after. They knew exactly how to target. They had intimate knowledge. But then again, almost everybody does who would be a fan. Who knows who's doing this? It's a terrible thing. Anyway, let's look at the chat here. See what I did there? I saw 15 minutes of it and fell asleep. Yes, Raw was bad last night. I agree. But you know what? It was better than the last couple of weeks, to be fair. So that's a good thing. Nick, they did the thing where you can flag one, then wait like 3 hours and flag another one. If the flag all of them at one, it counts as one strike. Yep. They were even smarter. Mark Potter, Boring Corbin. Yep. Old School Matt. Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of liberty needs to be fertilized with the blood of patriots of tyrants. Yep. Patriots and tyrants. Yep. 100% true. All right, Ailes, I know you've been waiting to let me know what's going on. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Dave. I think it's time you let the viewers have their say. Don't you? Time to take some calls.
Thank you, my minion robot. I do appreciate you so much. All right. Let's see if anybody is in waiting to call. Now is the time. If you've been waiting for it, you want to sound off and let me know exactly what's going on in that beautiful mind of yours. You want to talk about Mumkey, you want to talk about Reactor, you want to talk about Raw last night. Doesn't matter. Call in. If not, I'm going to take my fat ass to sleep. Dalton Clark, what do you think of WWE giving Charlotte Becky's gimmick? I just think they're trying to they're going to the well again. Becky still has her own gimmick, but they want to make WrestleMania as big as humanly possible. So getting all three of those people, Becky, Charlotte, and most importantly, Ronda Rousey, on the same level, that's how they feel is the best way to market WrestleMania. They're wrong, because having three identical personalities is not going to work. But I guess we'll live and let learn on that one. All right. Carl G. Raw was like a bad porn. Nobody wanted to see Sasha Five Heads get fingered by Apollo Crews. He did go deep into the nether regions there, didn't he? He kind of wandered. He wandered a little bit. My God. Old School Matt. Somehow that robot is less asexual than Aeon. That robot is going to... What are you talking about? That robot's running through my dreams. I'm going to have some masturbatory evenings because of that robot. And you fucking bow down to my goddamn AI companion. Don't you ever talk badly about my AI companion in any way, shape, or form, Old School Matt, or I'll fuck you up. Anyways, doesn't look like we're going to get any callers, and that's perfectly okay. I'm ready to get up out of here because we've been getting back to the grind each and every single day. We have Twitch going on in the daytime. Unfortunately, I've only been able to... I tried to expand out and play an old Pokemon game today. I had the most boring fucking time I've had on stream in a long, long time. Now I was very bored. I ended up switching over to Pokemon trading card game. Didn't have a lot more fun with that, but the computer is kind of beating the shit out of me. It's not really letting me do everything that I want to do when I'm playing games directly on here. But we are going to be doing more, hopefully very, very soon. To see if I can get Hearthstone on the laptop to play. I'm not 100% sure that it will. I also need to get the new season of Marbles, and we're going to play that probably Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll be doing some Marbles and such, and we'll see how all that goes. Looking forward to giving you even more content on Twitch, and most importantly, right here, Dead on Dave Live, each and every single night. Tell your entire family about it. Dig up your grandmother. Get her on the couch. Watch me, and make sure you call in and talk to me, too. Don't leave me here standing all alone, holding my dong in my hand. You can be a part of the show anytime you like. And that's what we love to do here. Love to hear from you. All right. Final thoughts in the chat. Let's see. Dalton Clark. So Becky is safe. I thought I was going to be blasted doing the Yes Channel. It was going to be Batista doing the Yes Channel all over. Yeah, I don't know. Old School Anna's going to kick my ass. It would be well-deserved. Carl G's 100% right. Dalton Clark. I would, but I don't have a mic, and my phone mic sucks bollocks. Fair enough. Okay. I'm not going to force you to call in. Don't worry about it. It's all right. Big thank you to the new AI Ailes. She was going to be around now. We're going to have some fun with her. Hopefully you guys like. Let me know what you think about Ailes. Do you like the new gimmick here? I thought it was going to be a funny little thing to be able to do. It actually kind of escalated. For those of you guys who don't know, the other day I put something out where I was looking for somebody to become a voice for the channel. I didn't, because I've changed things up where I'm not having a co-host with me every single day, at least not during the solo parts of the show. Co-hosts are fully able to call in at any time and to talk about whatever story that they want, and that's fucking fantastic. But I wanted somebody, a voice, something to give me my topics. So it started with just an idea of a disenchanted producer voice. And then once I had a few people reach out to me and say they want to do it, I listened to the voices and I decided that Ailes was the best way to go. She's got a very enchanting, beautiful voice. She's a wonderful person. She's been incredibly wonderful to me in the time that she's been a part of the community. So I was like, and she's new, which is nice. It's not the same people over and over again. Nothing wrong with getting the same people because I run with incredibly talented motherfuckers. But every so often, you want to bring something new to the table. And Ailes and I got together and we came up with a really cool idea, I think. And it's kind of escalated. And GunCannon, being the fucking amazingly brilliant person that he is, even took this up another notch by showing me a video service that would even be able to take it to a cooler spot, thus giving us our AI, our autonomous entertainment streaming servant. And I fucking love it. It is fantastic. And I'm going to enjoy it for a while. Hopefully you guys will too. Tonkasaw, they did Kind Heart dirty. Rick should stay cool. We called the Daniel Bryan heel turn, and I can't wait to get back on soon. It's a great show, Dave. Tonka, please get back on whenever you want. You have open invitation, baby boy. Can't wait. Oh, we got a pay-per-view this weekend. You have carte blanche here, buddy. You have an open invite at any time. Love to have my Tonka on whenever he wants to be. We do have a pay-per-view coming up, so if you wanted the prediction show with me, please let me know if you're able to do it, and we'll set up a time. There you go, kids. I think we're good. Thank you all very much for being here with us for another Dead on Dave Live. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I love giving it to you, and I know you guys love taking it. Let's give a little love to the people who continue to support the channel each and every single day. The patrons. That's right. Go give them some love and support if you're able. Keep it copious, folks. Remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Peace.